All right, we are live, and we got a couple people on already. Kevin Brock's been waiting. It's like Bourbon Badger's been waiting. Let me see if I can add those to the. I feel like I have to show each individual one as them just, as opposed to them just showing up on their own. I wish I could just make it where they would show up all together. My comments on stage. There we go. Can you see that on the right hand side of your screen?
Yep.
Cool. All right. I'm going to leave it like that. And I will hide that one. Cool deal. All right. Good deal.
Saw my buddy Justin already saying hello.
Right on. I struggle with some of the abbreviations. Bourbon Badger, I know them.
Right? Like I'm always like, what's your handle when people say stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Scott's on here, and he just came by the tasting I did earlier and bought a new bottle of ASW.
Awesome.
This is my first drink of whiskey tonight, and I'm so far behind you. I just want you to know. So I'm jumping in my little brutally honest bourbon glass.
Caleb's got me way ahead of the scale there, so I'm surprised that I'm talking straight. He's like, I'm just going to bring a bottle or two over, and we'll just kind of share some things, and he shows up with a bag full of stuff.
Famous last words.
Right. Awesome. So we've got about 17 people on. I guess we can go ahead and kind of dive into it. So guys, thank y'all for tuning in. So a few months back, Tiffany wanted to do a live. We did one, and she's like, you know what? Let's just start a quarterly type check-in with the group and kind of see how everybody's doing. We'll kind of discuss the market, what's going on, and just basically just staying abreast of what's going on. So this is our Q1 of 26 and just checking in with you guys. So I'm glad, Tiffany, that you took the reins on making this thing happen. I think everybody really enjoys it and appreciates it. So hopefully we'll have a lot of people tune in tonight and we can connect with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you. I don't know that you know how often I brag on you when I talk to people and, your name comes up and I say, I just talked to him and told him like I'm so proud of him and just how hard he's worked and everything he's built with his platform and just the way that he does everything. And obviously, like, I think your setup is so professional, and I don't know that I tell you enough, like, how much I appreciate you, but just how proud of you I am for what you've built. And you have a great community of great support on here.
No, I definitely know it. I appreciate it. And don't quit saying it, because you're one of the few that do say it. There are people that say it, but not many. So I do appreciate it, because like, you've been doing this for a long time. It gets discouraging at times, and it gets encouraging at times. So I don't think a lot of people know our background and how we met, and just in the act of being brutally honest and transparent. Tiffany and I didn't hit it off very well at first. We didn't know each other. We'd not met, and we met kind of through Seth, and Seth had asked her if I could attend one of her barrel picks there at Detling, and immediately I reached out to her. She connected and said, "Hey man, it's cool. We got room." I was like, "Can I bring a camera?" She's like, "Yeah, dude, you can bring a camera." I was like, "Hey, I just hired a professional like videographer. Are you cool with that?" Like, she's like, yeah, dude, that's fine. She's like, "Look, this is just a bunch of my friends going to Detling to do a pick. Like, let's not get crazy." I was like, "Hey, would you like to be mic'd up? Like, I want to get your input too." And she's like, "Dude, just chill out." And then the day of the pick, like, she had gotten food poisoning the night before. She felt horrible just meeting me for the first time. And she's kind of standoffish. And she's like, "This guy's really been like pushy and like wanting to get in here. I don't know this guy." And I don't know, by the end of the pick, I think we kind of like worked some things out. And from that point forward, we've just been connected, and it's been great. But at first I was a bit much, and I don't know that Tiffany and I were hitting it off very well in the beginning, but it
wasn't your fault, right? Like, in brutally honest transparency, we also talked about why I was so cranky 2 days before the pick and why I flew off the handle. So, I did apologize. I'm getting older and I've learned to recognize some things, and I do get defensive sometimes when, I I always tell people barrel pick teams are so special. I hope nobody takes it for granted when you get invited on a barrel pick, because the barrel pick is about the people there on the pick. And if I remember correctly, like that's what I brought up. Like, hey, this is about these people. These are my friends. These are some people I work for, and I don't want them to feel like that they don't get to enjoy it because we're out here trying to shoot content, kind of thing. And I just didn't want to take anything away from them. It was,
Mhm.
some people's first barrel pick experience. It was all of their first time going to Detling. It was my first time going to Detling. So I just didn't want to lose sight of that. And I mean, from then until now, I mean, we literally say, I love you when we get off the phone, like
Yeah.
we hold each other accountable. We check on each other.
Yeah.
You're one of the people that I'm closest with, honestly. Like I tell you all the time, I'm closer with
Same.
you than I am my own brother. So
No, it's crazy how that all worked out, and there again, I attribute that all back to Seth. Like he's been instrumental in what I'm doing here. I think he's been that way for a lot of people, but
he's
yeah,
a great
when you don't
human.
yeah, and when you don't know people and you're only communicating through, Instagram Messenger or
Right, yeah,
whatever, and
just
you've never met,
messages.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's tough. But no, I just always think it's kind of looking back to me, it's comical how it went and how it's worked out. So
Well, I'm
you
gonna
talk
go ahead and throw something out there real quick, because we talked about this a little bit, like hiding some Easter eggs in this.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna throw an Easter egg out. Anytime Brandon mentions Detling or Seth, you have to take a drink.
Y'all are gonna be so drunk. That's funny.
I don't know whether to say I'm sorry or you're welcome, but either way, cheers, y'all. And just so you know, like a couple of people that are on here, obviously I know you have like a million followers and supporters, but there's so many local people that are so good to me. And a lot of these people's names that are popping up right now, they were just at Miss Tina's at Clyde's earlier, at the ASW tasting I did. So Mr. Nelson's on here, and he's such a good guy, and he always pops by. He's literally been to tastings at 3 different stores in 3 different cities that I've done.
That's awesome.
And then our buddy Tim's up there. So,
Mhm.
we got to give him some love. And I see, all right, Bourbon Badger 80 said specifically that he came with you to pick up some bottles. So is that Ryan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
So,
You remember
so
that, the whole
oh,
barbecue thing.
I was gonna say we broke bread over City Limits Barbecue. If you guys ever come to South Carolina, they're only open Saturday and Sunday, but you got to put it on your list.
Yeah, no doubt.
What are
I'm
you
trying to read
drinking?
back through there.
What are
I
you
haven't
drinking?
I haven't poured anything yet, but I
You
think I'm probably
probably,
gonna
I don't know, maybe you shouldn't. What? So just so y'all know, mine and Brandon's relationship, I called him on the way home. I was driving home, and he told me he's hanging out with Caleb, and he was like, "What are we drinking tonight? Do you want to drink the same things? Like, do you want to plan it?" And I was like, "I don't know how much of you already had to drink if you're hanging out with Caleb." Like, and so we were kind of joking about that, and he pulled the whole "I've had two pours" kind of thing.
2 pours. That's it, guys.
I am having an old distillery only, or Kentucky only, I guess. 2022 Woodford Double Double. Obviously that's a 90.4, so that's an easy jump off for me tonight. And since we did get the question about, the Brown Foreman possible buyout merger, I thought that's a good one to throw in there, is to have a Brown Foreman product.
So with it being double in 2022, is it in a legit bottle or is it in one of those little like media sample looking bottles?
So it's in the small
Yeah.
bottles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
in
where I
the
first learned about it, but never had it. And then when it
yeah.
came out in the legit bottle last year, I guess it was last year, was the first time that I tried it. It was like a mythical creature before then.
Yeah, for sure. Most of the ones I got then, it was from friends in Kentucky, and they kind of knew the
Gotcha.
little honey holes to go get them. So, but I actually ordered some recently off Unicorn, and I think I have 2016, 2017, 2020, and 2021, and those aren't open yet. But one of the things I like to do is taste through the different years. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to see how many consecutive years I can track down without just going stupid, because I do have parameters that I don't want to pay too much for stuff. But I
I
mean,
didn't
these
even
old
know that it went
releases I
back that
like.
far.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know how far, um, but I've definitely bought some that are 2016s for sure.
Joanna said you should have brought a cup with her while she's walking the dogs.
Yeah, she wanted
Or
to
she
take
should
the
have brought a
dogs
cup.
she wanted to go and get them walked because they're going to be nuts if not. So hopefully they'll at least let them relax when they get back. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the OG double double is better than the new release. So I never had the OG, like what you're drinking or any of those that you talked about buying. But to me,
We can fix that.
The whole double double oak to me was like some kind of, ooh, wow. And then when I finally had it, obviously when they released it in the bottle that looked like the Master's Reserves type bottle, I wasn't overly impressed. Green and I tried it and we were just like, it's good, but it's like super drying on the palate, that particular bottle.
It's so tannic, like,
yeah.
I don't know. So I like the sweet oak better when that one came out last year because it's in that chinkapin oak and it's just so unique and different. I don't like all my bourbon to taste the same. So, if I wanted all my bourbon to taste the same, I'd probably just drink like white label, Evan Williams or something. But I don't enjoy everything tasting the same. I love all the uniqueness and the differences. And I'll tell you personally, I'm curious if anybody else has had it. And if you haven't, you should go track down a bottle. But the Woodford Historic Barrel Entry has got to be like one of my favorite Masters Collection releases ever. And everybody who tries it can't believe how good it is, but it went into the barrel at a lower proof. So I'd be interested to see, who else maybe on here has had that. I just got a brand new bottle in that I replaced because that's how much I love it. And that release is from several years ago.
I didn't even know that existed, but back to the double double oak and the fact that I know you're probably well studied on it. What are we talking about here? Like double oak. Did we go into 4 barrels? Did we go into a 3rd barrel? Like what the heck is that?
So regular Woodford double oak, and I'm not going to get this exactly right, so y'all bear with me, but regular Woodford double oak spends a certain amount of time in the 2nd barrel. So double double just spends double the amount of time in the 2nd barrel.
Okay. I get it. So typical people 6 to 18 months in a double oak, they may have went 2 years to 36 months.
And I can't remember what the parameters are. I haven't looked at it in so long. You know how it is. Like there's so much stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm doing the Jimmy Red that they sent me. Obviously, I traded Scott a bottle of Detling for it. And
which batch do you have? Look on your bottle and see which batch.
It's the one that we got last year. You're gonna make me put on glasses and look old.
I brought my pawpaw cheaters in case I needed them for you. My pawpaw peepers. Is that what you call them?
This is batch number 1.
Okay, that's what I have on the table tonight as well.
Non-chill filtered. It's the one that Scott had sent to me when I sent him a bottle of Seth stuff because he had not had it. But you had advocated for Jimmy Red a lot, and then you took me there, and when we went by, I was really blown away at what they had there. And I think that day back in that room, he let us taste this double oak, and I was like, man, I've got to have that. So
you said definitely like that was your jam, because you love the Jimmy Red corn is so oily and so viscous, and it's got a 3-inch fat cap at the top of the mash, and they just continue to put that right back into it. So people that have never had it, it's just an incredible mouthfeel.
It is, and I'm a sucker for it.
Well, tell me. I see. Messages. Yeah, I am doing a good job of at least keeping up with that tonight. So
I'm horrible, guys, at that. Y'all just keep repeating yourself if I miss you because I'm not ignoring you.
I guess Jason just upset everybody about how cheap double is right now in South Carolina. There's been a lot of there's a lot of closeouts right now, and I can tell like some of the distros have offered special deals on certain things. So I walked into a couple stores this week, and 2XO sneakerhead was half price, and so I was like, hey, why is this half price? Is it just sitting here and you've marked it down? And they were like, no, we got something. And a lot of times that's what happens is the stores get these kickbacks from the distro. Now some stores, they end up not marking it down, and they just let it sit there a little longer. But a lot of these stores will go ahead and mark them down and try to get that stuff moved through. But I mean, we've talked about this so much about just how much bourbon is sitting on the shelves right now, and there's so many new brands, and there's more and more brands coming out every day, even in South Carolina. And I did an ASW tasting tonight. We only got ASW in South Carolina like 8 months ago, and they're our freaking neighbors. They're right next door in Georgia.
Yeah.
And then Short Barrel is trying to get into South Carolina. And so I think that that's finally like hopefully moving in a better direction. But there's so many brands that are coming in. Bluegrass is coming in. And then there's so many people starting brands. And I mean, it's twofold. People ask about the industry. I know some of the questions that came through, like, what do we see where we see things are heading? But it's technically a very easy time to start a brand right now. You know, the cost of entry is low because there's the amount of barrels is stupid right now. And the amount of people announcing that they're not going to produce the rest of the year, that should be eye-opening to a lot of people. But also, I always put this out there. If you have any interest in investing in bourbon barrels, like as an investment, it's a fantastic time to do that. If you have interest in that, if anybody does, like, I can help you find access to that. I can get you connected to the right people. But there are so many influencers out there that are being contacted, you know, hey, do you want to start your own brand? Do you want to start your own label? And it's just because there's so much liquid out there and it's absolutely nuts. And so the shelves are just crowded. And we talked about this last time. How do you choose what you're going to buy? And so one of the questions on here ask us about all the allocated stuff is coming back on shelves now. So this was from Ray, and he's in your patron. He said, with allocated bourbon as a whole coming back to the shelf, is there a reason to go back to the big brands? Or do we stick with the small craft distillers who've been knocking it out of the park with shelfers like Short Barrel, ASW, Broad Branch, etc.? So I'll let you answer that first, like what your opinion is. With allocated hitting the shelves, do we go back to it?
You know, I'm struggling with legacy brands right now because I feel like there are a lot of money grabs happening there. And I feel like that's for multiple reasons. With all of the talks about mergers and acquisitions, if that's true, then my perception is, yeah, we make ourselves look acquirable by increasing revenue streams. And we throw whiskey out there and we throw King of Kentucky small batch on, you know, wasted whiskey or whatever it is. So I'm struggling with that. Like the President's Choice 11 year that I got in 24, absolutely loved it. The President's Choices that I tried in 25, they were a letdown, but they were much younger. But it was like they're just tossing stuff out there right now. And the quality of whiskey, or, you know, when you get the bean counters involved, it's more about the money than the quality of the whiskey. So my whole thing is put the whiskey in the glass. And if you like it and you appreciate it, that's what you want to buy. That's tough because you can't always sample before you buy. But I say that you need to find that opportunity. And to me, it really doesn't matter if it's an NDP that they're just phenomenal barrel pickers and there's so much juice out there and they're picking great juice, or they're blending it and you like that, then you stick with it. But the legacy brands are really letting me down. Like they're a little bit more cheeky for me. Like I really want to try it before I buy it. And I'm glad I got to try like the President's Choices last year because of that. Now, I mean, your highly allocated stuff, William Lee Weller, GTS, King of Kentucky's, those are still hitting for me, but they're just so hard to get. They're so expensive, and we're literally drinking this stuff, right? There are craft brands out there that I feel, if you saw my whiskey of the year being a Detling at 108 proof versus some of these nearly hazmat, you know, legacy brands, there's some whiskey out here being made by individuals that is much more affordable and is as good to me. So to me, it's all about the whiskey. It's not about supporting a brand because they're small. It's not about supporting a brand because they're large. It's just about the whiskey in the glass. And right now I'm a little bit more hesitant on legacy than I am on some of the craft.
Well, I mean, you've been to my house, so, you know, not including the bunker upstairs, that's all backup type stuff. But I mean, if you come dig through my cabinets, I mean, most of it is smaller brands.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, so this is my opinion only, but for me, once I stopped getting the FOMO, you know, so when I quit checking into some of my bourbon clubs and seeing everybody's pictures they posted every day, and when I stopped hunting bottles and just really started searching out like incredible whiskey, just more looking for like historical aspect, like what makes this brand different, what makes this brand different, why does this taste different, trying to research master bills and just really learn. I don't normally buy hardly anything from legacy brands. Now, I tell people if I could have Wild Turkey 12-year on the shelf in America, at a decent price, like I would, that is something I would buy regularly like that. I love that pour, and
I do too.
there's some Woodford stuff that I really love. In the beginning, I really loved Old Forester stuff, but Old Forester, can be hit or miss with the barrel picks. And I think some of that is where I started to be very particular. Like you said, can you try it before you buy it? I have to know who did the pick, because I have learned what you've learned as well. Not everybody's profile jives with yours. And some people like it hot, dry, and spicy. Some people like it sweet. Some people like it candy bar sweet. Some people like it fruity sweet. It was interesting tonight at the tasting. We had the soloist on the table, and there's a chocolate malt in there. And some
Mhm.
people get offended by chocolate notes in their bourbon. And it's
Yeah.
wild to watch it. When it happens, obviously, like chocolate is a signature note in Detling, and you
Yeah.
and I both love that note. So I kind of like crack up when people get offended by it. And I don't really understand why people get so upset about it. But some people do. They feel really strongly about not wanting chocolate in their bourbon.
True.
So I don't know. Like I just quit going after those brands. Of the 4 cabinets, I think there's legacy brands, probably maybe like 1.5. Now, Wild
Mhm.
Turkey, like I have a lot of the older rare breed stuff. Like I have releases from like 2015 rare breed, um, just different things like that. Like I like to try to chase down some of the older releases. I'm not going to spend a ton of money on this stuff, but there's a few things that are special that I like. But I'm not chasing cheesy gold foils, and I'm not paying secondary on President's Choice and King Kentucky and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, so for me, it's a no, dog. Like I'm not. You couldn't be there for us, so why should we be there for you? Is kind of my thing. And
Yeah.
I think once your palate has acclimated to the industry, you really realize what's good and what's great. And I've told you, like, I think life's too short to drink average bourbon.
I agree. And there's so much average bourbon out there that it's tough to find the ones that blow you away. But that's where I'm at with the group as far as like doing barrel picks. If it doesn't light me up or it doesn't set me back, I'm not really interested in it because, yeah, there's a lot of bourbon out there that tastes good, but why would you want to put your name on something that wasn't exceptional? And the one legacy brand that you leaned on was Wild Turkey, and Jimmy's whole thing is if nothing's broke, you don't change a damn thing if it's not broke, right? So I think Wild Turkey sticks with that, but I think something has happened over there at Old Forester with Brown Foreman. Like some of these Brown Foreman stuff, that we had from years before was freaking fantastic. It was trustworthy. And now it's like, it's back to the point where, like you said, it's hit or miss. And then you've got people like Crittenden, you got people like Detling, you got people like Highwire that really, really, really care about what it is that they're making. And you can trust that it's going to be good whiskey. So
Yeah.
there again, in those brands, you don't have a lot of investors. You don't have a lot of bean counters telling you, what you need to do to
I
keep
think
profit
that's the
margins.
key. When people
Mhm.
are asking us these questions, I think that's the key. And if anybody has just tuned in, if you do not know, anytime Brandon mentions Detling or Seth's name, you are required to take a drink. So I just want to make sure everybody stays updated on that. But so when you think about it, talk about single barrel picks. There are some questions on here about single barrel picks. And, is there a trend on single barrel picks versus shelfers? So we're talking about Wild Turkey. I want you to think back a couple of years ago and think about every time a Russell's pick dropped at your local store. It was like, can you get there same day before it sells out? Because they would sell
Mhm.
out in hours. And then I've got a local store next to me that does a lot of picks with David Jennings. And so, when you got rare bird picks coming into town, like those are obviously going to fly really fast as well. Now I see Russell's picks sitting on the shelf. And I will say that the cause is 2 things. It's not that we quit enjoying Russell's picks. I don't think the quality got any less on Russell's picks, but we have talked about some of the greed, right? So we have talked about some of the greed from these portfolio brands and the prices that those picks jumped up to. And
Mhm.
I don't think any of us felt like that it was worth it at that point. So that's one of the brands that surprises me when I do see those store picks sitting there, because you couldn't get them before. It was wild, and everybody was so excited. but I also think all the brands have opened up more picks. So I think there are more barrel pick opportunities available than ever before. And so it's the same FOMO with like the whole allocated thing. You want what you can't have. You want what's not available on the shelf. So then as soon as it does and somebody posts a picture, you've got to run to your store or send your spouse to the store to go pick it up for you. And I think that's a change that we're seeing is we all have bought so much in the last couple of years that we're not spending the same way either.
No, that's absolutely fact. And it gets to the point where you've bought more whiskey than you'll ever drink in a lifetime. And I love to share it. I couldn't care less what the bottle costs. I would love to have 20 people over here every night drinking it because I don't feel like I'll ever get through it. But like you said, as you get FOMO, you buy these bottles. And for me personally, a lot of times the ones that I have FOMO for are subpar. Finding that whiskey that really like just blows you away. Like I want to get to the point where I could basically send one of my daughters down the basement to make a pour and come back and I know I'm going to love it. I can't trust that right now because I have so many bottles that I feel that are subpar. And if we're going to spend this money on whiskey, then it needs to be that. It needs to be exceptional to us. But I think when you get the Camparis and all them involved in the wild turkeys, like that changes those price points, and that's where whiskey starts to sit on the shelf. Like you said, we all have so much, and then you see so many Russell picks all over the place. Like they're letting everybody have them. You're not going to buy every one of them, right? So,
yeah. And I don't know, maybe you can tell me because you do this more often, you're more tech savvy than me. So I see the comments coming through, says top chat, but inside of our StreamYard, there's a second chat and there's some comments showing up there that don't show up in the top chat. Is that some kind of paid subscriber or anything like that?
You are teaching me something now because all I'm seeing is what's showing up on the right side and on our screen. Where are you seeing the other one, babe?
Well, all right, so it's in my YouTube box, like at the bottom of our actual like black screen in YouTube. I'm seeing messages here that are not over on the side. So I know my buddy Josh put a message in here and he said he had opened up the 20-year American light whiskey that I did, but I never did see that comment over here. So I just didn't know.
I'm seeing Facebook and YouTube, but let me see if I can find Josh's message.
Maybe that's what it is then. Maybe inside of the thing that I'm seeing, maybe they're Facebook messages, and what I'm seeing over here is all the YouTube messages.
Maybe. I don't see Josh's message either though.
It's been a while. So,
it was back.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Josh Roberts at 746 enjoying a crack of the 20-year Alvin Langston that I called you and fussed at you about earlier.
You did.
Amazing
Tiffany.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. I just didn't know. I was trying to keep up with everybody and I couldn't figure out why I was seeing one thing and not the other.
It's a lot. And guys, seriously, like if y'all ask something over here and we don't address it, ask it again.
Please do, because we are drinking also and we're babbling. So
let's see.
Look at Jason trying to teach us something. It defaults to top chat. Change the filter to live chat. Jason is the man. There we go.
Now, where did you see that to change it? Or maybe mine is live and yours wasn't. I don't know. But where'd you change that?
Well, yeah, because you're broadcasting. So my chat box is on the right-hand side, and up at the top, it says top chat or live chat. It's a drop-down box, and it just lets me change it.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, mine I think at the bottom, mine says all, but I'm very unfamiliar with all this. Let's see here. Here's Jason inside your screen of Facebook, YouTube. Okay. Anthony Steven says, I'm late to the party. So what are your two fine folks sipping on? I just finished drinking the Double Oak Jimmy Red. And I think Tiffany's drinking on a double oak from like 1847 or something.
I had a 2022 Woodford double, and I just picked up the same thing Brandon started with, which was the Jimmy Red Batch 1 double oaked. But I also want to be clear that Brandon started way before I did because I was actually working a tasting. So
I had 2 pours. Okay, it was like 37 bottles up here, and I had 2 pours out of them. That's it.
That's like when your wife says, "Well, how many have you had?" 2.
It's the ossifer thing. You tell the ossifer that you only had 2. So.
Look at our bestie on here.
Who's
Joe, the bourbon pitmaster Joe.
What's up, Joe? We should have brought him into the broadcast. If you want to be on, Joe, holler at me. I'll put you on, man.
Oh man, God bless. Sometimes you just forget how good Jimmy Red is until you pick up a glass.
Like literally, I had both of my 234 pours earlier, and like, I mean, that Jimmy Red still at 107 proof, like fantastic. Speaking of 107 proof, I'll tell you something else that was funny. So Caleb Burnett come by, and he brought us several of his barrel picks. I had some of mine, and we were just kind of going back, tasting through some things. And he brought out a Weller Full Proof that he had picked. And I grabbed a 107 non-chill filtered. Obviously his was too. Put them side by side. And that 107 drank that Full Proof under the table. Like, I couldn't get it. And Caleb has fantastic picks. But that blew me away. I don't think they were maybe 2 to 4 points apart proof-wise. But it just really shocked me that 107 was that much more flavorful.
I don't know what it is about that proof point. And obviously the double oaked is the 107 proof point. Jimmy Red's Weeder that they do is 107 proof point. And I think Peerless does their double oaked at 108. But I do think that there is a very fine, like, sweet spot in there. So I know you don't love adding water to your whiskey. But I do think we can both agree, like, these are fantastic. But there's something about that middle ground where, you know, you're not getting yourself burnt out from all the ethanol. It's not too much water where we're losing a lot of the flavors and everything. But I do think that is a great spot for sure.
Now, you certainly taught me something on that. I mean, even with the old Dominic pick that we had, like, when I go offshore and work for 2 weeks, and when I come back, full transparency, I don't like whiskey day one. Like, I have to reacclimate. I don't really like it. And so I came in and trying to do tasting notes on that bottle, and I was struggling because I felt like it was really ethanol forward. And I added some water to it and was blown away. I was like, holy cow, that is delicious. So, no, I get it. And then like that ASW maple that Kanan and I picked, that is fantastic over ice. Like, really, really good over ice. So I don't typically drink my whiskey over ice. I don't typically add water. But I'm learning that sometimes it's necessary.
I'll tell you, I don't do ice a lot because I don't like cold whiskey. So if I do ice, I don't typically do the large cube kind of thing. I get frustrated if I'm at a restaurant. If that's all I can get is a large ice mold, like, I get it. And if I'm in a social setting where I have to drink for a particular reason, where we may be having drinks over several hours, you know, I'll typically do like an Old Forester 1910 over ice. But for me, I like to put in 2 small cubes and let them melt completely because I don't like it cold, and then I don't want it watered down at the end. So if it's summertime and it brings the temperature down a little bit and backs the heat off a little bit, like, I'm fine with that. Now, I'm not typically doing that for something that's 100 proof. I would do that for something that's like 120 or 130 proof and just kind of bring some of that down. Because, you know, it's not always fun to drink super high proof whiskey when it's hot. Like today in South Carolina, it was low 90s, you know, which it's freaking April, for crying out loud. Like, it is just way too hot today. And so, like, when I got home tonight, I was like, man, I really got to cool down a little bit before I can even have some of this. So I tried to slow poke it, you know, into these pours tonight. But yeah, I'm not a fan of cold whiskey at all.
Joe Unfiltered, who's my buddy Joe over in Colorado, he was just saying that my picks are just okay. I hung out with them this weekend, and man, a bunch of great guys. They really took care of us. But like, acclimation wise to weather, like you were just saying, we're flying back into Birmingham yesterday or day before, whenever we got here, and the pilot was like, captain was like, hey guys, letting you know it's, you know, reported to be 90 degrees in Birmingham. And we just came out of a freaking snowstorm in Colorado, and I wasn't ready for it. We got off the plane. I was like, this is miserable. Like, it's just April.
Well, you were sending me pictures, right? Like, you're sending me pictures of y'all, like, at a place that had snow, and y'all were drinking hot chocolate. And I was like, dude, I'm like walking in a tank top and shorts right now outside.
So crazy.
Yeah. Well, do you want to hit some more questions? What do you want to do?
Yeah, let's see here. So Cody had asked, and I think we kind of talked about this, but Cody Big Red Jackson. So Cody is a friend of mine who I had messaged you about. He's looking for a bottle of Broad Branch, and you had a store somewhere that you might hit in the near future that you were going to try to see if they had one for him. But he's South Alabama. He's a military Apache helicopter pilot, and he's a huge redheaded dude, like bodybuilder looking guy. But anyway, he says, how are our craft distilleries and non-distilling producers holding up during the bust thus far? A lot of clubs have been moving towards that, and it seems to be successful on the scale. What about the big picture of that?
Well, I think so we can use our buddy Clinton at Short Barrel, right? Mm-hmm. So when Clinton talks about how they've built Short Barrel, he talks about how particular they were and how just kind of slow and steady that they were with it. You know, a lot of brands, they think that the first thing they should do is get in as many stores as possible. And I think that's your biggest mistake. So I'm very analytical. Like, I have a business degree, and I'm very cognizant of, you know, money being invested and the return on that investment. So my biggest thing is I don't ever want to be in every store. I want to be in the right stores, because the one thing that people don't realize is you could be in 200 stores, but what matters is how quickly your product comes back off the shelf. So there's a sell-through rate. And when the product comes back off the shelf, is it a situation where the store places another order or they don't place another order because of how slowly it moved off the shelf, or maybe they had to clearance it to come off the shelf? And so that's my biggest thing. I have several brands that have reached out to me this year asking me to do work for them. And so I always let them know, like, you know, hey, I just want you to be aware that I'm not trying to get you in 200 to 300 stores. I'm trying to get you in the right stores. I'm trying to get you in the stores that move bourbon, that do a good job selling bourbon and recommending bourbon, that have great palates and are plugged into the industry. And so the brands that focus on that, kind of, you think about like smoking meat, like that slow and low process. I think being very purposeful right now, those are the brands that have positioned themselves really well. I think the brands that spend a lot of money and try to expand distribution, and we all know, like, we are all guilty. I can tell you with Frey Ranch, Detling, like all my favorite brands, Short Barrel, I've been yelling at Clinton since 2023 about coming to South Carolina. We are all guilty of asking them to come into our state because we want to see their products on our shelves. And I get that, because we love, you know, we just get tired of having to travel to get them or try to find a way to get them. And the thing that people don't realize is how expensive it is to go into some states, and then the cost that comes with that, you know, whether you're hiring a salesperson, if you are doing contract sales, then somebody has to manage that and manage those relationships. And then if we take this a step further and look at what's going on with the distros right now, the distros are a freaking mess. And so there's been so many distros that have laid off. You would not believe the amount of people in South Carolina. I won't call anybody's names, but a particular distro laid off half their employees. And it has been an absolute nightmare dealing with them, because some of the brands that I work for deal with them. So now there are brands trying to leave these distros because they can't get the attention they need. They're not getting the right products to the right stores on time. And it's a nightmare. And then you look at the consolidation. All of these brands are trying to be bought up by other brands. You look at what's going on with RNDC and Reyes buying them out. Like, there's so many things that go into this that people just have no clue. We all hate the 3-tier system, but the one thing I always ask people, so like, think about Seth, right? Like, Detling is a small distillery. If Seth was responsible for delivering the products from his distillery to each one of the stores, what would that cost him? You know, from a delivery truck to the insurance on the delivery truck, to the fuel on the delivery truck, to a delivery driver, and how long would it take him? So, you know, we do need distros to an extent, but I'm also all for direct to consumer as well, if that makes sense.
No, I agree 100%. And, you know, I do think that people like Clinton and them that are doing it, you know, low and slow, are going to be the ones that, you know, slow and steady wins the race, is what you always hear. And I think that is the case. You know, my heartburn currently with the 3-tier system and the distros, there are so many distros, and one of them you mentioned, they're not paying their bills, and these distilleries are in a bind because of it. And I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. Like I'm not part of that, but that makes me personally a little sour towards the 3-tier system and the middleman, even though there are all the benefits that you just said that offset a lot of that. So I don't know, but I think that what you were saying about being in the right store as opposed to being in all the stores is definitely the answer. Like you want to be where you're turning product. If the product's not turning, if you're in 200 stores and only 30 stores are turning your product, what are you in those other 170 stores for? Like you're getting dust on the bottle and they don't want to see you anymore. Another thing that I see is there's such a difference between stores and the amount of knowledge that the owners or the employees have with all the spirits that they carry. Max Bottle Shop in Johns Creek is one that is extremely knowledgeable on every spirit that they carry, but they're very selective in what they carry. They don't even carry Buffalo Trace stuff. Like they're just like non-tater. I don't know how they get away with it. I don't know how that works for them because I know that there's a lot of red tape and you've got to push this to get that. But there are so many products from these NDPs and from these smaller brands that the store owners aren't familiar with that I particularly think need to be hand sold up front. Like to
You
get
have
that
no
brand name
idea
going.
how many times I use hand sold, like in conversations. So I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine.
So for what I'm doing, like I do a lot of contract sales work and a lot of contract tastings for folks. And I try to figure out why is this product moving in this store and not moving in this store. And a lot of it comes back to the hand selling. So then as stores grow, maybe they add locations, maybe they had a great, owner or manager, but now they've expanded to another location. You can't duplicate yourself, right? So you got to hire great people. If you're going to be known for a bourbon store, you got to have another bourbon, person at your other store. But that's what we lose a lot of the hand selling. But if we go back to what you said, because I want people to understand this, because I really, we do this because we kind of want to peel back the layers and give a little bit of insider information. But I want to talk about the distros not paying the vendors. So if you guys don't know how this works, like say I own my own distillery and my distributor comes to my distillery and picks up my order. So they are on a net 30 from there. So they have 30 days before they have to pay me. Well, when they deliver it to the store has to write a check instantly. So when they deliver to the store and drop off to the store is writing a check for that money that day. So the distros are getting the money. So my question is, why are they not paying the vendors? Like that is, to me, that's a huge deal because you got your money already.
It seems to me, and there again, this is total like me being skeptical and not knowing the facts. But if I'm a distributor and I'm quote unquote printing money, like from all the brands that I distribute, if I invest that money properly and basically wait on the residuals and kind of stall you out as a brand, especially if you're a smaller brand like Crittenden or Detling that can't make a huge wave, but some of the bigger brands are struggling with this too, then I can in turn make more interest. Or am I not managing the funds properly? And, you have the whole thing of managing a business, right? So this is a huge business. I have employees. I've got to pay them. I have overhead. I've got to pay that. At what point am I managing the money that comes in to say, okay, this goes to overhead and this goes back to the brand? And I'll say it so everybody can drink. At what point does this money go to overhead and this money go to Detling? So you'll have to drink. And I just wonder if they're mismanaging the funds to where they're in the point where they have to rob Peter to pay Paul to get this other brand paid. Like I can't pay Detling right now because I just paid Crittenden or whatever. I don't know, but it's either mismanagement of funds or it's, let's stall it out and let's make those extra few dollars because we're talking about big money here. And that could turn a pretty good residual in a short amount of time on interest rates if it's invested properly. So I don't know.
So this is my take on it. When we think about, you can go to any industry, right? Like get outside of the liquor industry. It could be government, it can be education, but 9 times out of 10, it's always mismanagement. Like very rare is it not mismanagement. And you talked about being skeptical. I'm at this place in life. I'm just old enough, I think, that I have seen too much fraud. And it's to the point that I feel like I look at certain situations and think like, okay, how many of the people in this company are stealing? How many of the people in, this particular governmental organization are misusing taxpayer dollars? And so it all really comes down to that, that I don't think there's very many well-managed companies out there. And I don't think there's very many companies, especially publicly traded companies, where the focus is in the right place. So, I worked for a Fortune 100 company for 17 of my professional years. And the one thing I said is I never want to go back to working for a publicly traded company because they only answer to shareholders, and I would even go as far to say stockholders, because shareholders kind of pulls in a different subset. But for me, when you start, like you said, you always talk about the bean counters. That's really when it all goes downhill. And I'm a huge fan, this, of the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. And they did a roundtable recently. And, Fred was really passionate talking about this Brown-Forman merger issue because it's one of the oldest brands that's out there. It's been owned by the same family the entire time. And I am personally not a fan of all the portfolios in any industry. And I think that's when we lose so much. I think that when things just continue to be bought up by investment groups, I mean, typically the first thing that happens is people lose their jobs, right? The first thing they come in and do is the red marker, and they're just cutting positions. And then they brought up on the round table how much money that Brown-Forman donates to the local community. And I mean, it's like a crazy amount of money in giving, and they encourage their employees to be out in nonprofits and in the community. And so somebody brought up the Anheuser-Busch being bought out by InBev years ago. And when that happened, 90% of charitable giving was taken away. And so, I mean, think about all the nonprofits out there and how they're impacted by all these people and what happens when we do these things. Because at the end of the day, these portfolios are just trying to make themselves richer. They're trying to make their shareholders richer. So what are we going to lose? And if you kind of look at like some of the greed, I hate to call out brands, but they're big enough they can take the heat. If you look at Campari and the greed, we think about the price that Russell's 13 went from year 1 to year 2 and all the special releases. I mean, that's not what we want. And that's what we've seen over the last few years is the greed. And I think that's what we all have fatigue from. We have fatigue from the pricing greed and feeling like that we're being priced out of special releases just because of that.
Yep. And they starve the supply so that the demand is where it is, and that drives the price and justifies it. But you and I both know they have tons of whiskey out there.
More than enough.
I get it from a business standpoint. You don't flood the market with it and drive your price down, but also, don't get greedy with it and drive it the other direction, right?
Oh, and that's what's happened now. So like we've talked about, I mean, you and I don't know if you remember this, but like a year ago, I'm on a phone call. I think we had a group call with you and Brandon Green, and we were literally talking about buying barrels and kind of like doing our own thing. And I was telling y'all what barrel prices were. They're 66% less than they were a year ago right now. Now, do I think we're like reaching the bottom? I think I thought that a month ago. And some of the prices that we've been offered this past week, I'm just like, well, shit, like I thought we were at the bottom. I didn't think they could go any lower, but you're proving me wrong. So I don't know. But there is more than enough out there to satisfy anything and anything you could want to do in life. There's enough of it out there. And they were being greedy. They were holding back. And I understand what you're saying about not diluting the market and everything. But now you're just sitting on all this stuff.
Well, I get so far away from equilibrium, right?
Yeah,
yeah. I can see staying on that side of equilibrium where supply is short of demand, just a fuzz. But I mean, it seems like it just got really aggressive in the whole like cut supply and watch demand just keep growing, drive the FOMO. And, pay all these crazy prices for a liquid that we're consuming. I know some of us collect it like baseball cards and we sit on it like investment, but a lot of us buy it to literally drink it. So I don't know. Let's look at some of the questions. Uncle Sam's greedy, hence the 3-tier system, taxes. Absolutely. I mean, it's all about the taxes. Stores like Heritage, where someone is passionate about what they carry and pick, or picky about what they put on the shelf. I agree with that. I mean, you need stores that are picky about what they put on the shelf, but you need stores that are also very knowledgeable in everything that they have on the shelf. I feel like Michelle is that way. She's passionate about everything that she carries. The liquor industry to change. Everyone has to put their pocketbooks together and lobby politicians for what they want. And I just maybe I'm negative Nancy, but I feel like we don't stand a chance against the politicians on that.
No, the amount of money that goes into lobbying is absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we can squeeze our pocketbooks and wallets a little bit tighter to make the company fall in line. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, and I keep saying it, and y'all, I'm guilty of not following my own directive, but people fuss about the secondary market and the Jack Daniel's Tenured Hill that came out last year. People just rushed to pay $800 or $900 for it. It's good whiskey. It's not worth that. And I have bottles that I pay big dollars for that personally to me, it's worth the big dollar. Majority of them aren't. And the whole thing is, as soon as a bottle hits the market and people start like rushing out there to buy it because we set the price so high on secondary, it's our fault. It's the same thing with GM when the trucks come out and they're X number of dollars and we rush to buy them, as opposed to just kind of like, we set that bar, like, don't go buy it, the truck, don't buy the bottle, and these prices are going to come down and then buy it. But everybody has such FOMO, me included. We're really driving that market and we're keeping those prices where they are. And
I promise, if you can get rid of the FOMO, like, it'll change your buying habits. I don't say this because I don't want it to sound negative. I know that you have amazing groups, but I literally just had to take a break from some of my bourbon clubs and my bourbon pages and discords and things like that, because that's literally all I was focused on, is, oh my God, this bottle dropped today. This person got that bottle. I'll never get that bottle, and when I stopped doing all that like 2 years ago, it changed everything for me, and I just, people are going to think it's the cheesiest thing in the world, but if God wants me to have something, it'll cross my path. And that's just how I've always looked at it. I got my first BTAC last year, and it was just sheer, luck of a store doing something nice for me. It's not even a store I shop at. It is a store I support from like a retail standpoint. I do a lot of contract work at that store, and I've helped them in a lot of other ways, but it's not a store I've spent a lot of money. They weren't rewarding me for that reason. Right. So, but I don't know. I think if people kind of get away from that and just start focusing on the actual liquid, my favorite thing to do, and this, is to blind people. So when I go into stores and I take samples into stores to taste, well, what are we tasting, Tiffany? You don't get to know, and that. Those are my rules. You don't get to know what we're tasting. You don't get to know what it is, how old it is, the proof. Like, you taste it, get all the samples, and then I'll tell you everything.
I'm to the point, like I told Ben at Onyx and Amber the other day, he was like, so how do you want to do this pick? I said, dude, I want you to go out and I want you to pick however many barrels you want to give us samples off of that you feel are the most special barrels that you have. Bring them in and let them reach room temperature, and don't write a darn thing on them, and do not tell me one thing. I don't care. I don't want to know if it's MGP. I don't want to know if it's Heaven Hill. I don't know if it's 8-year, 14-year, whatever. And the one thing that I missed was they need to be in black bottles, or a bottle that I can't see through, and they need to be in a Glen that I can't see the color, because I immediately got jaded on one because of the color. It proved to be right, and it proved to be a phenomenal whiskey, but that's just not always the thing. So I don't want to know anything about it. I just want to taste it, and then I want to see what the group's reaction is to it, and we go from that. But back to your point,
color can be tricky, right? Like, color, we look at American light whiskey. Like, I think that's kind of changed all of our opinion on color.
Yep. And you're talking about the whole like knee-jerk reaction and going and spending the money for a bottle versus just waiting and it crossing your path, whether it be God wanting to bless you with it or whether just patience and virtue and things happen. Either way, that is a real thing. It happens. If you just wait, the good bottles come your way. But if you just can't wait, you're going to pay premium. And for me, it was Heaven Hill 17. Brandon Green's butt brought one over here and I tried it and I was like, okay, I won't buy another bottle until I can save up and buy that bottle. And I started like, people wanted bottles that I had. So I was trading off bottles and like stopped buying. And I finally got the money and Jason Cope had one and he wanted $1,100 for it. I bought it. Came home that night. We had tornado warnings. We're in here in our little bunker. And Heather's like, you're cracking that $1,100 bottle? I was like, we may die tonight. I'm drinking this thing.
Exactly, right?
2 weeks later, I get a call from a buddy. He said, hey, man, they had a couple of these over at Spillway. I don't have the box, but it was $250. I was like, huh? He's like, yeah, you want it? I was like, absolutely, I want it. So if I had just waited, I could have got that bottle for $250, which is sub SRP.
How much have you beat yourself up over that? Like, just be honest. How much have you beat yourself up?
It sucks. It really sucks because of that whole, like, I got to have it now. I got to have it.
Yeah.
I got to have it before so-and-so has it, right? Like, no, you don't. Heck, in this world, let so-and-so get it and they're going to share it with you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got good friends, right? For sure.
Yeah.
So if anybody's jumped on the last little bit, see, obviously the numbers go up and down as people come on and off, but our little hidden Easter egg is if you hear the word Detling or Seth, you do have to take a drink. So
that's right. And Detling rules. So just so you know, drink up.
Cheers. Cheers. All right. You want to look at these questions some more?
Yeah. Look at,
I don't want to let your people down because you got some patrons on here and I want to make sure that we
get all them. Is there a trend shift to single barrel picks versus shelfers? I absolutely think that single barrel picks, for those of us that are like whiskey nerds, trump shelfers all day, every day, because I mean, if you can go through and literally pick a single barrel, some of those are just freaking fantastic versus some of these batch products. Batch products are built to be consistent and some of them are consistently really good, but there's some single barrels out there that are just like crazy stellar. So I do think that, the trend is more on single barrels. And like you said, just about anybody can go pick a single barrel these days. And I don't know if it was you and I talking about it, maybe, but some people will pick a barrel just for the sake of saying that they picked a barrel.
Yeah. Well, you also know I have a very, very strong opinion on the fact that I don't think all the single barrels that out there are worthy of being single barrels. There's a lot of shitty single barrels out there, you know? And again, like you get people picking that don't know what they're doing. And, you know, if I'm picking with somebody else, like I'm always asking what their goal is. Like, what are we picking for the masses? Are we picking, you know, more towards the whiskey nerd palate? Like, what are you looking for? If I'm picking for myself, I'm an incredibly balanced drinker. So my perfect pour, you know, there can be layers of flavor and complexity, but I also just want it to be balanced. I don't want it to be stupid hot. I don't want it to be stupid sweet. I don't want it to be stupid spicy. Like, I just love an incredibly balanced pour. Now, that doesn't mean a 93 proof pour, but it just means that it's balanced. And it doesn't mean I don't have some one-off bottles that I love, but that's more just kind of what I trend towards. I think there's too many single barrels on the market. And again, like, this is not a shot at you. Obviously, like, you are doing a lot of picks and you have a great patron, a great club, but there's so many people picking right now that I think store picks are actually getting less attention because there's so many picks that are being done by communities and clubs that end up online. And so I think that's why store picks are actually sitting on store shelves so much right now. Because you have so many clubs that are picking and it is so easy. Like, the amount of clubs that reach out to me for the different brands that I work for. I mean, it is very easy. Like, anybody who wants to pick a barrel can pick a barrel right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the flip side is people don't understand the responsibility. So if that barrel is coming into a store, that store writes the check the day that barrel arrives. And so when people tell me they want to pick a barrel, I'm like, okay, what are you looking for? This is how much it's going to cost. Are you willing to help the store move it? Do you understand you're asking the store to write anywhere from an $8,000 to $16,000 to $20,000 check, depending on what you pick? And all of a sudden you see their eyes get really big because, you know, they don't think about this stuff. Like, they don't have a clue how this stuff works and the carrying costs. So if you pick a barrel and it doesn't move and that store sits on the inventory, you know, they're losing money with the carrying cost for however long it takes them to move that product. And people don't respect that, you know, from the store's aspect. Now, imagine if I came to you and said, hey, we're going to buy a barrel and you got to pay the $16,000 upfront out of pocket and wait to get paid back.
Yeah,
it would be a different
take you 2 years. Oh,
Yeah,
and you're going to pay taxes on that inventory while it sits on your shelf.
People
just like the distillery paid taxes on that barrel that while it was sitting there evaporating.
Yeah. There's so many pieces to this, which is why I love coming on and talking to you, because I do want people to understand like all the things that they don't know. When you start to work in the industry, you get to see a different side of things. And I want to make sure that people understand this, you know, because so I see somebody right now, I've had questionable store picks, man, we all have. There's stores that I won't buy a store pick from because I know their palate now and it just doesn't go with my palate. It's not what I'm looking for.
And some stores, I feel like, will just take a barrel to say that they have a barrel pick, and that to me is a problem. Like any stores that I talk with, my suggestion to them is you need to build your profile. You need to do the barrel picks. Like there's several stores that I know of that maybe they split with 2 or 3 other stores. And so if that other store goes and does the pick and says, hey, I've got this, do you want it? They go ahead and take their 1/3 or 4th of it. And I'm like, you're showing that to be your pick, but it really isn't. And so how does that reflect on you long term? Like, I need to know that if I go into a store, I'm going to get their profile. And one of my favorites for that is Cork Dorks and the Spot 280 here in Birmingham. They do their picks. Like, yeah, they'll take people with them. Typically it's a couple of us that go consistently. But you pretty much should know when you go to those stores, you're going to get that profile. And if you don't like that profile, you don't pick from that store. But well,
I'll give you a different aspect of that. So there's a lot of stores now that want to split barrels specifically because they don't want the cost of an entire barrel. So there's a lot of smaller stores in South Carolina. There's some that have really great relationships with each other. And so, you know, they will go on picks together and say they pick 2 barrels of the same brand, but they're totally different barrels. And it could even be different mash bills. It could be a bourbon to a rye, and they'll split those barrels and they'll say like, hey, we went on this pick together. We split this barrel. I have some stores that are super small stores, and I will take samples to both stores and say, hey, you know, this person liked this one, this person liked this one. They asked me to bring the samples by, see if you liked them and if you'd be interested in splitting the barrel. So I have some labels coming out for projects I've done in a couple months. Like waiting on labels is like the bane of my existence. And you guys talk about like getting paid. It is the one thing that keeps me from a sales aspect of getting paid is how long it takes to get stuff through TTB, how long it takes to get labels printed. And then once we freaking bottle it and the distro picks it up, and then you're still waiting another 30 days, like from there to get paid. It's insane. But I will ask you, this is up to you, how you want to answer this. Somebody asked from the consumer side of things, how does a barrel pick work and how do you get paid from your pick? So I don't know this person. I don't know if you know who 𝐂𝐸 1947 is. But if you as an individual are a customer of that store and you go do a barrel pick, you're not getting paid from that pick. You're getting the experience to be a part of the barrel pick. You pay your own way when you go on the barrel pick. So you're paying for your own, transportation to wherever the barrel pick is. You're paying for lodging, for food, like all of those things. If you're asking how influencers get paid, if you're asking, most of the clubs don't get paid. I will tell you, I have chosen not to make money on my picks up until this year. And I finally released my first pick ever that I chose to make money on. And I did it because Brandon and all my other buddies, were just giving me crap. Like, why are you not? Everybody else is making money on your picks. Why are you not making money on your picks? And so I finally chose to do it. So it just depends on what your agreement is, whether it's an agreement with the distillery, whether it's an agreement for marketing and advertising. It depends on who it goes through. They're very legal channels that all of that stuff has to go through. Do not forget that the resale of liquor is illegal. Be very clear about that. But they're very proper channels, and it's conversations that have to be had ahead of time. But unless you're going in and negotiating because you're bringing some sort of value to the table, because your name on a bottle will move a pick, you're not getting paid as just a regular consumer.
Spot on. Like you hit it spot on the head. Like when I would go do picks with the Spot 280, they would pay for everything. I'd ride with them. They pay for the hotel room. They buy my food. If we went in the distillery, if I wanted a bottle, they'd buy it. But other stores I may do a pick with and, end up buying the bottle when it came in as well. And it was just the fact that I got the experience of going on the pick. Beating you up over the time is the fact of what you just said. You brought everything to the table. You worked with the brand, you worked with the stores, you made it all happen. You brought it together, and you're like, I'm just okay. Like, that's not okay. Like, you made it happen. You should share in that. Now, percentages, you have to respect the fact that they're writing the check, they're making everything happen. You had no skin in the game. If it doesn't sell, you could be a jerk and walk away and be like, tough luck, sell it. Which you wouldn't do. That's not the right thing to do. But so in that situation, I would take a lesser percentage. Early on, I didn't ask for anything because I was just wanting to experience barrel picks. But then when I started reaching out to the brands and bringing the brands to the store, working with their distributor to make it happen, I felt like I'm out here working. Like I'm doing something that is of value. And if you want me to keep doing that, then there needs to be something in it for me because it's costing me money to do these things. So
I think that's the part that people that haven't done it yet or are getting to do their first one. And don't get me wrong, we all remember our first barrel pick, right? And it is an absolute honor and a privilege to do barrel picks, but there is so much cost that goes into it. So there's a lot of stores where the owners don't drink and they just let other customers go do all of their barrel picks. And they don't pay for anything. They don't cover, anything for the people going to do it. But like you said, on the flip side, the store is making money. And don't get me wrong, they're in business to make money. Liquor stores are not nonprofit organizations. I have no problem with a business making money. But when you think about the fact that you're now spending your time and your money, there's certain barrel picks that I want to go on because of the experience. Maybe it's a place I've never been. Maybe it's a place I've always wanted to go to. And it is a very unique experience. So I actually just picked up the holiday barrel. So Michelle from Heritage invited me out to go do the holiday pick with her in November. And we chose to drive out there. And it was 1,100 miles one way. So you think about the cost of gas, you think about the cost of meals, the cost of lodging, just all the things that go into it. I lost so much money, like choosing to do that barrel pick. But I was excited. It was an honor because I've loved holiday for years and I've always wanted to go out there, but it's just so far away. And so I was super excited. And this is actually the first time I'm opening this up today. So I just picked up my bottles last weekend. We picked 2 barrels because that's what Michelle does. She's 2-barrel Michelle, just like I'm 2-barrel Tiffany. And it's just what we do. So
leave nothing for people like us,
Nah, nothing. We just, because there's not enough, right? Like, come on.
I missed the Broad Branch because y'all bought all the barrels.
Y'all
bought a lot of Broad Branch barrels in the 2 years that I know of y'all doing picks there. Like y'all.
Well, then you even have Nancy Fraley using 5 of the bourbon barrels last year for the blend. So we can blame Nancy now too.
I will. I'll blame her. And I did call or text Michelle earlier, so I've got to get those Ben holidays. We'll work that out between she and I. Joe Willie 850 is saying, when are you coming back to Cost Plus in Pensacola? I want to drop by. So Joe, we will be there June. I think we're going to come in town on the 11th or 12th, and we'll be staying in Gulf Shores, but we'll be at Cost Plus on Saturday and at Whiskey Barrel that Saturday. So June 13th. Cost Plus and Whiskey Barrel, if you want to come by there, kind of invited the group out to go by and experience those places out and just kind of hang out as a group that day. So if y'all want to come out there, we'll be there.
All right, so I'm laughing now because there was somebody on here earlier that I totally thought was Michelle. And now that I see some of the comments, I'm like, yep, that's definitely Michelle. I can see it now. So
where's she at?
Let's see if she will comment in the chat and say who it is. But I think it's MBS 4298. So
okay.
All right, there's the list of questions that you sent me earlier, and they're actually kind of all about the same thing because they're about barrel picks. Now, I don't want to bore anybody to death. I think you send out all of your barrel picks, what your schedule is, when those things are dropping, what you're picking. So if you guys aren't on that, then that probably means you're not on the Patreon. So you probably need to go sign up for the Patreon so you get access to Brandon's information. I don't have a Patreon. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I don't want all the work that goes into it. I tell Brandon all the time, like, I have no idea how he does it. We love you guys, but I just don't want this to feel like a freaking job because I already work in the industry. So I have not done that yet. I've not even created an email sign-up list. I might at least do that at some point this year. I'm picking a broad branch on Monday. I'm picking with Hunter from Bourbon Hunter on May 1st, but that is not a collaboration pick. Like, that's just him inviting me along for a pick down at Firefly in Charleston. And if you guys don't know, nice. That's, Buffalo Trace distillate that is redistilled and aged in Charleston. So it's super unique. It's a lot of fun. I have one that I'm really excited about that's going to come out under my Vault Collection label. And this one is a 51% rye mash bill. And there's not hardly any 51% rye on the shelf. So the one thing that I'm really excited about on this one, Brandon already knows I try to go find stuff that's just not sitting out there. And B, this is a freaking cherry sweet tart. It is so good. It is got to be the most like crushable bottle of rye. It is so different than like any other rye that you've had. And again, because it's not a super common mash bill, I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. I think it's going to give a lot of people a segue into rye that are hesitant to try rye. I'm doing Detling at the end of the month. Brandon's also doing Detling at the end of May. So we're both doing Detling barrels in May. So we'll see who leaves any barrels for who by the time I get to Detling, since I didn't go to high school with Seth Detling. I don't know how many drinks they just had to take, but they're going to be not standing by the time we get to the end of this. So I think
Seth Detling.
Yeah, right. Like, it's like Beavis and Butthead. Mm-hmm. So somebody said, what cool barrels is Tiffany holding on to that we can pick for the group? Anything you fucking want. That's what I'm holding on to. So the cool thing about some of the brands that I work with right now and some of the stuff that I've gotten access to, I just tell people to reverse engineer it. If you just tell me the mash bill you're looking for and you tell me, the age that you're looking for, or if we have to figure out like kind of backwards math, this is what we want to retail it for kind of thing, we can go get you anything you want. Like, it is a treasure trove of barrels out there. So if there's something that you're looking for, something that you want to do, like, that stuff's pretty easy. The big one that you have to decide if you want to address or not is when and where is the next barrel pick with both of you, and when can we sign up?
We just have to get our lives aligned. Like, thought we were at High Wire and we got crossed up, and we thought we were going to do something before that and things didn't pan out. So I mean, we just got to make it happen. But I mean, you've had so much going on in life and I've been busy, and we gotta nail it down. Well, just so you guys know, since we're brutally honest about this, when I reach out to Brandon and say like, hey, what's your schedule look like? He's like, well, if you want to pick in like the fall of 2027, like, I have 2 dates available. So, for a guy that's gone 2 weeks at a time and home 2 weeks at a time, he is the busiest human on the face of the earth. So I'm a little bit more available. They said, when do you sleep? And I was like, what is this word that you speak of? What is the sleep? Heather has really hated me. Like last night was the first night that I slept more than 3 hours in the past 2 weeks. But
all right, that was not Michelle. That was Matt. Matt was on the
she says it's Matt Blackcat, but I don't think it's Matt. I think it's Michelle saying that she's Matt Blackcat.
So when I was reading the comments earlier, I was like, this is definitely somebody that's associated with Heritage. And I just saw the M and assumed it was going to be Michelle.
Right. It
So,
may be
but yeah,
Matt. It
no,
may
she's
be
probably busy. She's probably busy. That's a busy lady. So,
for
well,
sure.
I'll tell you the one thing we haven't talked about that we promised everybody we would do is to check in on the health stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Hold on.
we talk,
Let me drink my water real quick so I can sound check.
right? Yeah. Well, just so you know, I think my water's empty. And I think Joanna's
Where
upstairs
you
with the
at,
dogs.
Joanna?
So I know, I think she's upstairs with the dogs. I can't see anything. So one of the things we talked about in the last check-in that we did was very specifically, being mindful when you're drinking, being mindful of your hydration, your habits. Do you need to regulate your pores? Do you need to do other things to offset what, alcohol does to our bodies? And there's so many things you can do. There's things that you can take before you start drinking. There's things you can take afterwards. You can go to the freaking sauna, the next day. You can be mindful of how many days a week you're having pores. You can stop wanting everything to be hazmat.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah. So
that's the only thing wrong with this particular pick right here is it's only 139 and it doesn't have the same flavors as 141. I'm telling you.
God bless. Yeah, that 141 was special.
It really is, like drinking them side by side. It really
very
is.
Different. They're very different.
Mm-hmm. So MBS is saying black hat, not flat hat. So I misunderstood that.
So it's Matt Black Hat Bourbon, and Michelle got a cardboard cutout of him. So he has his own social media profile that's flat hat, and they actually took him on the Broad Branch pick. So
that's hilarious.
Matt Black Hat, there is a Matt flat hat. So
that's hilarious, dude.
Only Michelle. No, Matt is like the nicest human on the face of the earth. So we had a great time on the pick. He's a great guy.
But back to the whole health thing, like we talked about it last time, it sparked something in me, and I tried to light a fire in the group, and several people went after it. Man, it's crazy how intentional you have to be to really focus on your health. I say me personally, so lazy. Like coming from a background of 5 years, a nose to the grind, bodybuilding, like trying to kill it, to just doing nothing. Like it used to be second nature, and now it's like I have to literally like take a deep swallow and just get my butt up and go to the gym. So I don't do it as often as I should, and I struggle to get as much water in as I should. And as much as I go, I'm on the road, I'm eating things that aren't great for me, and then I'm drinking stuff that's not great for me on the 2 weeks that I'm off. Luckily, I have the 2-week break offshore, and it's a little easier for me to do those things. But if I did this on a normal pace like anybody else, it wouldn't be good for me because I don't do it right. And I'm mindful of it. It's top of mind, but being top of mind and then making that effort and really making it happen, two different things for me. And I just hope that other people will see that quicker than me. I really fear that if I don't get my butt off the chair before long, it's going to catch up with me, and I'm going to be in a bad way. So I am glad that you continue to make that a priority and bring it up. And I hope that people are thinking about that.
Well, I definitely want to give a shout out here. I don't know if you know who Bourbon Badger 80 is, but says down 60 pounds so far, drink maybe twice a month, weights, diet, water, sleep, supplements. I mean, we live in a world where there are so many things, technology even, that affect our health. And obviously, like, our food is not as healthy. And you talked about it, like just the lazy aspect. Everything in life has come to be about convenience. And so the one thing that I have tried to focus on, and I'm very grateful that Joanna cooks dinner almost every single night for us. Like, that's something that's flipped in the last probably 6 years. But I try to look at it as being grateful that I live in a home and I have the ability to afford food, and I have the ability to cook, and I have the ability to do those things of my own free will. I try not to take for granted, and I try not to look at cooking as a chore, and I try to look at it as nourishment and a blessing that we have that ability, because there's so much going on in this world. And there's so many people that want the things that we just take for granted every day. And we become a society that's about convenience, and it's easier to just run through a drive-through or pick up food on the way home because people don't want to cook and then they don't want to clean. I mean, we probably eat 95% of our meals at home, and there are weeks that
That's
it's
awesome.
100% of our meals. And that gives us some flexibility, to do certain things. But this, we're talking about the drinking aspect. I don't know that I have 6 pours a month, compared to what I used to, when I might have a couple pours a night, several nights a week, maybe 5 nights a week, compared to a couple of years ago. I will tell you that working in the industry, I don't drink near as much as I used to, but it's
Really?
because I'm around it so much. And then I do not drink when I'm working events. So like that's a pretty hard and fast rule that I have. People are so shocked by it. Poor Michelle gets so upset every time I'm doing a tasting at her store. Like, why am I
She likes
not,
to drink.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I don't drink at the tastings. I don't drink at events. I'm pretty particular about it, and it's for safety reasons. And it's you're there working. It is a job. Someone is paying you to be there, so you have to be mindful of how you're representing yourself. And I do take that very seriously. I take the drinking and driving aspect seriously. And sometimes, like, I have to drive 2 hours home from where I am. I may be working in a different city, but
Mhm.
I just don't have as many pours. Now, these pour bottles at my house, they're pitiful. They're just piling up, collecting dust. There's more bottles than I could ever drink in a lifetime at this point. But I just don't. Like, I'm so conscious of it right now. And it's not that I don't want to have pours. I told you when I called you before tonight, like, I don't even know if I'm going to drink on the live stream because it's so late.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I knew I needed to get a good night's sleep. And so I'm glad that Bourbon Badger called out sleep. Like, we do have to be cognizant of how much we're having, but the diet, the water, and the sleep is like the number one thing. And people just are not, everybody thinks alcohol makes them sleep, and it doesn't. It is so disruptive to your sleep. And it's worse for me as a female. And I just got to where I couldn't take it anymore. Like, it wasn't worth the trade-off for me. Like, I unfortunately I don't need but a certain amount, but I've got to have good sleep.
No, I get it, and I don't know. I struggle. I don't sleep like I should, but my cortisol levels are probably through the roof, and having the proper amount of sleep is super important. Bourbon Badger, that's Ryan, right? Like, let us know, Bourbon Badger, if you're Ryan. I think that's who this is. But talking about macros, and I'll tell you something that I've learned since getting involved with bourbon. So bodybuilding, there were only 3 macros. You have protein, fats, and carbs. There's a 4th macro, if a lot of people don't know about it, and it is alcohol. And alcohol stands its place in your macro contribution
For sure.
daily. And so, bourbon does have calories, and there is the alcohol. All right. So your proteins and carbs are 4 calories per gram, and then your fat is 9. Your alcohol is like 7 or 8. So it's the next most potent macro that you can have. So you limit your fat, as if you're trying to be healthy, you don't eat as many grams of fat. You try to eat more grams of protein, moderate carbs, and then super low fat, or you eat high protein, high carb, low fat, or low carb, high fat. Like, that's just how you go. I never thought about alcohol as being a a uh, a macro, and the fact that it has so many calories per gram than protein or carbs. So it is very important. But then somebody offshore, and I'm still ignorant to this, I haven't studied it, but one of our mechanical engineers there is from Vietnam. Grew up really poor. He's extremely intelligent, but he was telling me, he's like, you understand that your liver doesn't just filter and pass through. It filters and holds on to things throughout time, and that's why you get fatty liver. That's why your liver grows. Um, so you really, that liver only has so much time, and it can only filter so much stuff. And so the more that you're taxing it with medications, or if you're in bodybuilding with steroids, or if you're in bourbon and drinking alcohol, you're really taxing that liver, and you're shortening the lifespan of that liver. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just there to filter, and it just kind of rinsed and repeated, and it would be okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I know this part of the live stream, this might not be for everybody, right? Like, if you don't give a crap, that's okay. Like, Brandon and I have made a commitment to make sure that we talk about this because we think it's important. Brandon will tell you that I call him, and I'm like a second wife slash sister sometimes, which has got to be like a terrible combination.
In Alabama, it's perfectly normal to have a sister wife.
As long as you say it, not me. But I mean, I'm very serious about it and holding him accountable too, because he does have 2 weeks where he's gone, and then he's got 2 weeks where he's home. And if you're going hard in the paint in the 2 weeks that you're home, then thank God you have the 2 weeks off. But I tell him all the time, like, I think about his wife and his children, and I want to make sure that he's doing the things he needs to do to be there for them. And I hope y'all hear that message, that's what we're telling y'all. Like, we love all you guys. Like, we want you to be here. We want you to, be able to be on these lives. We want to take you on barrel picks. We want to see you at bottle shares. And we just want everybody to be mindfully aware that there is a way to do this in a healthy way, in an enjoyable way, and just making sure that you're doing some of those things to offset it. Now, it'd be fun if we had a way to figure out the average age of the people on the live stream right now, but I'll be 45 this year. I'm not getting any younger. I think some of my regulars freaked out today because I had my hair down. A lot of times at tastings, it's in a ponytail. And I have been what I am calling boycotting coloring my hair for the last 5 months. And so I'm incredibly gray, like right around the front. It is what it is, right? You guys get the benefit of the doubt of being silver foxes when you guys go gray. But as women, like, we don't get that same, benefit. And so they were like, oh, you're doing something different with your hair. And I was like, well, hadn't cut it, hadn't colored it. Like, it, maybe I'm going Pentecostal. I don't know. But like, it is what it is. I'm trying to be cognizant of all the things we've done over the years that really don't matter at the end of the day. Like, I've probably been coloring my hair since I was a teenager, but I'm cognizant of the chemicals now that are sitting literally on my head right next to my brain. And so it's the same thing with this. It's just being cognizant of what we can do, like you said, to keep our liver healthy. And there is a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm not one to do like plugs or anything, but if you go to the link in my bio, there is a link for ZBiotics for like a discount code. If you've never tried ZBiotics or Cheers or anything like that to help your body process alcohol, I mean, it really does make a difference. Something as simple as taking a Pepsid before you start drinking to counteract, like, if you're somebody that gets heartburn from drinking, there's some very, very simple things that you guys can do. And if you're somebody that needs help, Brandon said it last time, you could reach out to us. Like, we care about you guys, and we want you to be successful. And I'm jealous of the losing 60 pounds. I'm like, God, like, I try so hard to hit my protein goals, and I try to exercise, and good Lord, I don't eat crap. If y'all saw how I ate, you'd think I weighed 100 pounds. And that is just not working out for me right now. But I'm so happy that y'all are.
The truth be known about it. I mean, there is a caloric level where your body goes into starvation mode, and it's not that far away from your basal metabolic rate, or the calories that you need to sustain that. So we can get super nerdy into all that, and that's something that Mississippi Buckeye was talking about, is the way in which you eat your macros. Like, a lot of people just want to count calories, and for some people that works, but for some people it doesn't. But piling carbs and fats together and not having enough protein is not the right way. And if you're drinking alcohol, then one of those other macros need to kind of like go to the back burner. So it may be that you're not eating enough calories. And he's talking about the CPAP and stuff. Brother, I'm on that CPAP, and I won't take a nap without it. And I'll tell you right now, funny story. So left here at, I don't know, 4:30 a.m. and went to Buffalo Trace, got there midday, did a pick, left there, drove over to Heaven Hill, stayed up all night long drinking to get the Heaven Hill 22, and stopped, got breakfast, stopped in Nashville, 2 or 3 like hunting videos. I get back on the road. I'm drowsy. I'm hitting the rumble strips like, So I called Heather and I said, look, I'm pulling over. I'm going to sleep. And she's like, are you going to get a room? I was like, no, I'm just going to hit the next rest stop and I'll be fine. She's like, Brandon, just go get a room. I was like, no, I'm good. So I go to the restroom at the rest stop, come back out to the truck's running, get in the back seat, pile up some clothes for a pillow. I plugged up that CPAP, dude. I wasn't going to sleep without it. And I laid there probably 15 minutes trying to doze off, But all I could think about is the fact that I've been by a couple stores. I'd had a couple pours. I had open bottles in the truck. So I was like, I just need to get my butt on the road. And so I called my cousin, who's an 18-wheeler driver, and he taught me all the way back to Birmingham. Not the right thing to have done, but I don't sleep without the CPAP was the point that I wanted to make there. Like, I don't even lay on the couch and take a nap. I go lay on the bed, get the CPAP if I need. And I only take naps if I'm sick. But I don't think I knew that I needed a CPAP when I went and got it. God, that's been maybe 10 years ago. So if you guys aren't sleeping well, if you're not staying asleep, if you're waking up in the morning and you're feeling like you've been ran over by a Mack truck and you're not rested, go have a sleep study done. When I started the whole bodybuilding thing, I was 300 pounds at 298, and I'm 5'7" on a good day. The first thing I did was went to the doctor and I said, I need to figure out everything that's wrong with me that I can't fix, whether it be blood work, low testosterone, sleep apnea, whatever it may be. Y'all fix that, because I know what I need to do, and that's on me, but I don't want to fight against all these other things. And so blood pressure, CPAP, low testosterone, all that was an issue back then. Got those resolved and was able to, go from 300 pounds to 215 or whatever it was. And now I'm hanging out at like 235 because I just have lost my way. But definitely, if you're not sleeping well, the CPAP, that was my point of that conversation. So.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I've never been one to snore. Like, I've just never snored. And I don't know what has happened in the last couple of months, but I have woke myself up, like, as I can tell I'm snoring. And I'm like, holy crap, like, what is going on? Because I have just never snored in my life. Now, Joanna is the total opposite. It sounds like a lumberjack, and we don't even sleep in the same room for that reason. We can't nap on the same floor of our house for that reason. It's wild, dude. But like, I'm like, man, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I starting to snore all of a sudden when I haven't snored previously? And so you're not wrong, right? Like, we're all trying to be so mindful of the things we need to do. I mean, just getting a freaking physical. My dad is 65 years old. And I mean, you know this, Brandon, but most people on here don't know it. Like, he had surgery in March to have a mass removed off of his kidney. 65 years old. And that's the first surgery he's ever had in his life. He is a healthy guy. He's not on a single bit of medicine, and he works out and he eats well. And the people at the hospital, every time we had to go meet with somebody else, they'd be like, okay, wait a minute. Like, you're not on any medicine at all. And he's like, no. And he's just looking at him like, what's wrong with you? And they're looking at him like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, I work out and I eat healthy, and I've done that my whole life. He's like, I work out almost 7 days a week most of the time. And so, you think about that, like, he's an amazing example, and it's one of the things that somebody put it on here earlier. I don't remember who it was, but if God didn't make it, don't eat it. That's kind of how we are here. Like, I tell people, like, I'm very big about reading ingredients, and I'm very particular about what I put in my body. And I try to eat whole food. And if I do eat something that is not whole food, I try for it to be 5 ingredients or less. And I try for those to be clean ingredients. Now, I'm not perfect and I don't eat perfect. But those are things that I try to be mindful of is eating whole foods.
Yeah. That's a tough thing to do if you're not mindful of it and you're not cooking at home. And that's dedication, and it's a sacrifice. Like you said, going to the grocery store, buying the groceries, coming home, prepping them, cooking them, cleaning. Like, sometimes it's easier to go grab the crap, eat it, and then be able to sit on the couch and veg out and hang out with your person. But there again, it wasn't to your benefit. It was to your detriment health-wise. So no, I applaud you guys for, saying you cook 80 to 100% of your food. Like, that's huge.
I see a bunch of people telling us good night. I see a bunch of people saying, and we said, hey, if we can make it an hour, great. If it goes longer, fine. I told you I'm normally on Friday nights at 8:30. I'm normally asleep on the couch. So it's 10
o'clock your time, right?
Yeah, so it's 10 o'clock my time. So the fact that I'm actually still up and awake. So, but maybe what I would say is, if there's 23 people still that are watching, obviously we can see all of your questions. So if there's anything that we haven't addressed, if there's anything that you want us to say, if you just want us to say your name, you know, whatever. But if y'all have any kind of like closing comments or questions or whatever, like let us know, because we want to make sure that we hit everything. I think we got all the questions
I
from
think
the
we
stuff
did
you sent
too.
me.
The one thing that we kind of didn't cover is that we told the people that did make comments and give us the questions that we would do a random drawing and do a giveaway. And I guess we probably need to discuss that a little bit. So I'm game with what you and I had discussed, with maybe just sending out some samples of previous barrel picks that you and I have done, and maybe having 2 different people that we choose, and you can deliver some samples to that person, and I'll deliver some to the other, and I can run those names in the next few days, hopefully. So if that's
Yeah, I
good with
mean,
you.
yeah, if you just want to pull in all the people that made comments, maybe people that submitted questions, and we'll just do the randomizer. And once we figure out who those people are, you know, I can reach out and see if there's anything specific they want besides picks, or if they just want like a sampling of picks. But yeah.
Same. I'll do that too. So y'all be looking for that, guys. I'll run the randomizer. I'll let Tiffany know what names we choose, and we'll reach out to y'all. But I definitely thank everybody for tuning in. Great show out. I really thought that with it being you know, the Spillway event, and Matt and them were having their live stream tonight, figured that our turnout would be lackluster, and it wasn't. You guys showed up. I really appreciate y'all. So thank you.
And I mean, it's there's so many like just people that show up for both of us, you know, like we have a pretty core group. So I see, yep, I saw Ellis, I saw your text message. So I just haven't read it yet, but I did see it come through. So I'll text you back as soon as I get off here.
The broad branch pick for us, I don't know. So back to what Tiffany said earlier, labels and glass are 2 of the biggest issues for distilleries these days. Broad branch is very picky in how they do their ordering of their labels. I think they only order 2, maybe 3 times a year. And when we picked, we already knew that we wouldn't be getting the labels until July or August. So hopefully getting the bottles in August or September. But I mean, we're still waiting on old Dominic that we picked in January, and I don't really know what's going on there. I think it's a lot to do with some of the things that we talked about tonight, but that's just, I don't know. You know, we've
labels are such a freaking issue right now. Like, I wish people understood what a pain in the ass labels are. And between TTB and labels, I feel like that's one of the biggest bottlenecks that all of us have.
It is. All right. So do you have a Discord channel? I do have a Discord channel. I don't use it much. The private Facebook group is where we communicate mostly, or in the Patreon group. You can join Patreon for free. As long as that platform stays available for us, we're going to utilize it. If for some reason that doesn't, I have emails for everybody in Patreon, and we have an alternative for that, which is exactly what Hunter did, and I think it's working out well for him from what I'm hearing. So we're going to hang in there with Patreon as long as we can. So join there free, or join the tiers if you want, or send me a friend request on Facebook, and I can plug you into that Facebook group. So,
well, I don't know if you caught it, but I did pour a second glass of the holiday pick. And there's not a lot of nights that when I am drinking something that I get a second glass of the same thing. So I think, you know, because you do enough barrel picks, but sometimes when you take that first sip of the barrel, you're just like, that's not what I remember. But I mean, it was literally a fresh crack. I gave it, you know, nothing. And the first sip, I was like, is this the one I really loved? And then I went to the second pour, and I was like, oh, hell yes, it was. And then like I just kept like downing it, and then poured a second glass, and that one's almost done. And I don't do that. I can't tell you the last time was I've had 4 pours, you know, this late in the evening. But you guys said Detling a lot. So
Detling. That, I mean, and that's definitely a thing. Like, one thing that I've figured out recently is, like, you know, you're trying this particular whiskey and you finish it and you go to the next one, and you may be expecting something, but because you have that other one still on your palate, water or not, this one doesn't sit well the first time. And then you hit it 2 or 3 sips and you're like, oh, there it is. Like, now it's showing up.
Well, we're also talking about jumping from you know, Woodford is 72, 18, 10 mash bill. Then I went into 100% red corn. And then I went to holiday soft red wheat. Like, it's like you said about acclimating your palate. You know, when you're changing those mash bills and you're changing so distinctly, I mean, freaking 100% red corn and then going to soft red wheat, like those are
That's all over
distinctly
the map.
different. Yeah. But then when I got into it, I was just like, oh, this bottle's in trouble.
Crushed.
Yeah, this is a crushable bottle. I don't know, you know, how many people in here know about that pick, but again, Tiffany 2-barrel, Michelle 2-barrel. It's what we do. We hinted as soon as we sat down, like if we like 2 of these, we will be taking 2 of them home. And so we blindly picked the oldest barrel and the highest proof barrel. So 2 separate barrels. One was the oldest, one was the highest proof. And they, I mean, I think they're freaking fantastic, and I think they're a great price. I think they're like $80 maybe.
Wow,
and
nice.
yeah, and Michelle has rewards and stuff now, and like allocation days and stuff. Now that she's opened the second store, she's doing a lot of really cool things. But yeah, I think these are fantastic barrels. They're 6 years old. The oldest is, I think, 6 years and 8 months. And you know, Holiday has the little strip on the side where they give you the details about the rick house and things like that. And when it was distilled, I was super jacked because they dumped these barrels on Joanna's birthday and she was there for the pick.
Cool.
But they don't put the dump date on the tag, but they do have the distilled date. And it was actually one day before her mom's birthday, and her mom went with us on the pick. So
cool.
I love the little details. I love the little nerdy stuff.
Yeah. She just told me last night, Michelle, that she basically picked a sibling barrel to what we picked. She either picked 143 at Broad Branch and I picked 146 or vice versa. But I thought that was pretty cool because she was talking about the proof point. Of course, I had her by like a third of a point or something. But
well, I'll tell you guys once we pick on Monday. Like I'll text you and let you know. Dawn texted me today about the pick, and Anna and Natalie had sent a message too. But you know, I haven't picked a lot of rye barrels. So, you know, I screen a lot of rye for my job, but I haven't picked a lot of rye barrels. So this will be interesting to go up to Broad Branch to pick a rye.
Well, I mean, you told me before, like, as much as I love their bourbon, but you were like, I think they're doing rye as good or better than the bourbon. And that was spot on. And I just recently got their American single malt, some samples. So I owe Natalie some reviews on that, but it just came in. So hopefully one day this week and next couple of weeks I can get that video out. But excited to try it because I'm absolutely loving American single malts.
Yeah. So I mean, I have really gotten into it. We had the soloist on the table tonight from Fiddler, and it's 56% corn, 44% other malts. And you know, it's rye malt, wheat malt. There's a malted barley, there's a chocolate malt. And I think that people are caught off guard sometimes at first, like how malt tastes. But once you get into it and you open your mind and stop thinking everything should taste, you know, like Buffalo Trace or Eagle Rare, which is, I feel like, all you hear in stores every day. I think if people could approach it for what it is, it's so much fun. And it's funny that you mentioned the Broad Branch single malt, because I text Natalie today and I was like, what do y'all have like sitting on the shelf right now? I was like, what's up there? And that was one of the ones that's still up there. And I was like, okay, let me send a few messages because I'm probably going to have to bring some of that back. So
Alpha Hoss was saying, did anybody try the Blue Note weeded? So Blue Note sourcing a lot of Green River stuff. Green River's not missing. I don't care if it's rye, bourbon, or wheat. I've tried them all from their barrels. They're not missing for me at cash strength. Like, no. So I would assume that Blue Note is Green River. I do think that Blue Note may have proofed it down to 107. I may be wrong at that, but
that's
I would
sweet
imagine
spot
really
though.
Good.
We talked about that. That's that sweet spot. Like so yeah.
Shella is one of my members that lives here in Birmingham, and she was saying that she's wanting to visit Highwire this summer. Any advice? That's all Tiffany right there because she knows Highwire in and out.
So the biggest thing I always tell people, I think Highwire is a beautiful distillery for a small craft distillery. You know, book a tour. The tours aren't very expensive, but also sit down. Yeah, sit down and eat some food. So they take the Jimmy Red corn and they do a lot of stuff with it. I'll freaking tell you, order the cornbread platter with the sorghum whipped butter. With it's not a prosciutto, but it's like a prosciutto. It's the Benton's ham that's sliced like a prosciutto. But excuse me, order that. Like order the chicken sliders. They do so many cool things. They do a lot of stuff that's seasonal. So I was there last fall. I don't know if I can say this or not, but they were distilling a corn that wasn't red corn. And so it was at the Heart's Cut. And so I got to taste the white dog right off the still. And I'm sitting there talking to Rachel, and I'm like, well, shit, this might be the best white dog I have ever tasted. And I'll tell you, like, Jimmy Red white dog is very distinct. It has a strawberry banana yogurt note to it. Yeah. And it's super weird. And it's not what you would think, once it turns into what it comes out in the barrel. But this particular corn that was coming off the still, it was amazing. But what they do is they take the leftover mash and they make crackers out of it. And that's part of what they serve. So they had butterbean hummus that week with the crackers that were made from the mash of this corn that was not a red corn. And it was freaking awesome. So I would tell you to go eat, spend a lot of time eating around Charleston, because Charleston is an amazing place. But definitely book a tour. Tell them that you know me. So depending on who's there, who's working, depending on what day you're going, they just do a fantastic job. And there's so many cool things that you can taste. They do an amazing job with their cocktails. But 𝐻𝐈𝐕𝐄 is a wonderful place to visit. And there are other distilleries in Charleston too, if you want to look up other places. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do, a lot of good places to eat. Whoever posted that, if you want to send me a message, I'll be glad to talk to you.
I'll connect you with Shella. So she's, like I said, she's one of the members here. I just ran into her at Spot 280 one day, and she was buying a Pepper 1776, and I had asked her if she had ever had Old Pepper, like the 11-year stuff that I had here, and she started coming to some of our barrel picks and stuff, and then she started leaning in on some Elijah Craig C923s, and so she's been here a couple times and had a few different things. So I think she's even going to go with us out to California, and she's going to tour Redwood Empire and Corbin Cash with us. So I'll definitely connect y'all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so much good food in Charleston. I'm a big fan. It's called Slightly North of Broad, but if you're from here, you call it Snob. And it's all like farm to table, and it is just amazing food. And I'm a big foodie. I don't like to eat anywhere that's a chain when I do go places. I mean, you saw City Limits. So our barbecue place here in Columbia, he's, came in second place 2 years in a row for a James Beard Award for the best chef of the Southeast. And he's a barbecue guy who started with a food truck, who taught himself how to cook. Like, this is not somebody that spent years and years and years in the restaurant industry. It's somebody that, spent years in the corporate world and then got out of it. So it's such a cool story. But, somebody, I think that's Ryan Still, High Cotton. High Cotton's great. I mean, there's so much good food in Charleston. Charleston is just, I mean, you get a food baby when you go to Charleston.
And the food at 𝐻𝐈𝐈𝐄 in and of itself was delicious. Like,
yeah,
they really do jam up food. Like, it's plated well, it's delicious. So
well, and I mean, just so people know, like the people that are left on here, because we're dwindling down, so then you guys get the special info. But I mean, y'all ask about Brandon and I doing stuff together. We are trying to. We had something planned with 𝐻𝐈𝐈𝐄, and Brandon and I just got our wires crossed on the dates. And if you don't book with Brandon 6 months in advance, you can't get in until the next year. So we are planning some stuff. 𝐻𝐈𝐈𝐄 did offer something fun and special to me, so I'm excited about that. I just got to get Brandon to Charleston. So
we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
All right, I'm gonna have this last sip, and I think I'm gonna get some more water and chill out for a bit before bedtime.
Good deal. I'm trying to answer some people that were calling, but guys, again, thank y'all so much. I hope that we answered some of y'all's questions. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll continue to do this quarterly, and we'll have a little bit different theme every time, but we'll always be checking in on the industry and our health. But until the next time, y'all let the whiskey and friendships flow. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.